Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Susan Hayes and I am excited because I'm going to share with all of you today a topic that I think is vital and relevant to all of us in our lives. And that topic is the power of receiving. We're very good often at giving and perhaps even asking for what we want, maybe praying and meditating, but we're not always open to receiving. How many of you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. How many of you, like for example, you may get a gift and you're like, oh, you didn't have to do that. Oh no, I don't need that. We don't graciously receive that. Anybody else experienced that before or have done that? Yeah, I know I have. Not anymore. I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Maybe every now and then. However, I also noticed that we set these goals or we ask by praying and meditating, and then does it sometimes just not show up for you even though you're asking and praying? Has that ever happened where it just doesn't show up for you anyways? You're like, oh, you get frustrated. Like, why? Why isn't it happening? I asked. I prayed. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to share a very personal story to show you how I had to learn that lesson and how important it was to receive. Let me ask you some questions first. What if your most successful year yet was when your business earned the least amount of money ever? Yeah, successful. What if asking is only part of the equation in attaining what you desire and need? What if viable solutions to seemingly insurmountable obstacles are always available, but your belief systems and your judgments thereof actually keep you from being aware of these solutions and actually keep you aware of how you can receive? I'm going to share a really personal story where I had to learn the hard way. And because of my limiting belief systems and my judgments, I actually exasperated an already challenging situation in my life. I actually created way more angst, way more worry, many more complications because of it. But I created those complications with my thoughts. And my thoughts and my limiting belief systems that didn't allow me to receive what was right there in front of me. It was April 4th, 2019. I will never forget that day. We just stood there, feeling perplexed. There was no sound, an eerie quietness. I had a lump in my throat and in the pit of my stomach. We just looked at one another. I finally asked my husband, what happened? What went wrong? You see, my husband had just gotten up to get a glass of water to take some pain medication. Soon after, he approached me, motioning that he couldn't swallow. In fact, that the water was dribbling out of his mouth. It just wouldn't go down his throat. Now, the day before, my husband had had a minor procedure to repuncture an opening in his throat that communicated with the esophagus and the larynx so that a prosthetic speaking device he had would work properly. 2 years prior, my husband had had a total laryngectomy to remove a cancerous tumor. That means they took out his voice box, so this prosthetic speaking device was his voice. The cancer had been gone, and we had been enjoying this new normal. And my business was starting to take off again. After this minor procedure, not only was my husband left with the inability to speak at all, he couldn't even eat by mouth or even swallow his own saliva. Well, his cancer came back. Oh yeah, it came back with a vengeance. And as such, I spent less and less time at the office and more time as a caregiver. My husband became my most important client. Not a paying one, but a highly valuable one. They were all valuable, don't get me wrong. Our medical bills began to mount again, and my business began to dwindle again. Now, my husband and I had not fully recovered the first time he was diagnosed with cancer, emotionally, physically, financially. We had just begun to bounce back. We began paying off all these credit cards we had accumulated the first time. Now, the first time my husband got sick, my parents repeatedly kept asking me, "Do you need help? Do you need money?" And I kept repeatedly saying, "No, I got this. I'm responsible. I'm a responsible adult. Besides, my husband and I managed the first time. We sold his car. We took out the remainder of his retirement. And I took out several credit cards." So creative. Well, with my husband's recurrence of cancer, the credit cards were now maxed out, and we were struggling to even pay the minimum payment until we couldn't even do that. It took it getting really bad before we realized, maybe I need to look just outside of this box of limiting belief systems and choose something else besides another credit card, for example, to resolve our financial situation. So I started looking at alternative solutions. I prayed, I meditated, I asked. My first action step was to meet with the hospital social worker. She gave me a list of organizations for financial assistance. And I went through almost the entire list. And for one reason or another, we just didn't qualify. We didn't fit the criteria. The last resource on that list was a GoFundMe campaign. So when I had previously meditated, was asking, help, that's exactly what popped into my awareness. But my body cringed at the thought of it. There comes those limiting belief systems about, let's receive it. I blocked it because I was like, I need to earn the money. I need to work for it. I need to be responsible. I'm an adult after all. Well, as the situation with my husband and the financial strain got worse, my body started to get sick and break down. I finally accepted, I received something in the meantime, received a healing session. It is during this healing session that I saw this image. I saw all these penguins huddled around one another, taking care of, supporting, and protecting the ones in the middle from the brunt of the storm. And this is what penguins do instinctively to survive and thrive despite the harsh, cold weather conditions. And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, my husband and I are requiring protection and support right now. It's our turn to be in the middle of the huddle, to be protected from the storm we were currently in. Well, that image really helped me, because as soon as I got home, from that appointment, I called my parents. I asked for money that they had been offering me. This one action step opened the floodgates of financial flow. And it wasn't just about receiving finally that offer. Well, yeah, it was about receiving it. It wasn't just about my parents offering it. I needed to allow myself to receive what they were offering. And I finally did. And guess what? That GoFundMe campaign, what do you think I did? I finally set it up. I let go of that belief systems that I can't do that. Friends, family, and even strangers began sending us money. And because of that, people were alerted, other people that didn't really know how serious the situation was, they were alerted to how much help we needed, because we finally were asking and allowing ourselves to receive. Now, there was way more abundance that just kept coming in. My husband's mom had died a few years earlier, and her house finally sold. And her brothers and sisters actually sent their portion of the down payment to us to help us out. Money was coming in so many ways. And it wasn't even just money. I finally accepted many more healing sessions, complimentary, particularly from a colleague that had been repeatedly offering them to me. But I didn't want to take advantage of his kindness. I felt like I had to give him something in return, even though I didn't feel like I had anything else to give at that point. And so I finally said yes. And then more abundance just kept showing up. My stepson and his girlfriend chose to move to Tampa, where we were living at the time, to help out. I graciously received it. I was like, yeah. My sister and her niece began helping us prepare smoothies, or helping me prepare smoothies, to go food shopping, to prepare. They had asked before, and I'm like, no, I mean, she has a lot that she has to do. My sister, I can't bother her. Incoming abundance in all directions. I even finally let go of my job, the office, and the guilt that goes along with it about not earning money. I focused on my husband and his health, and I'm so grateful that I was able to be there in the last year of his life, to bring ease, to experience the most profound level of love that we had yet experienced, being in this together and graciously receiving what we needed. I worked harder than ever that year, doing research, answering phone calls, consulting with a multitude of doctors, taking my husband to appointments, staying with him, holding his hand, being there. Well, guess what? Maybe I did earn it. When we are in the flow of giving and receiving, we are rewarded in ways that are unimaginable. And it's not necessarily direct income, but it's incoming when we allow ourselves to receive it. It is important to allow ourselves to receive and be open to that and know that we deserve it. Remember these penguins, my friends. Anytime we are thinking, oh, I don't deserve it, I can't do that, I need to work hard for it, remember those penguins in the importance of taking care of one another. Because letting go of those limiting belief systems I had not only allowed my husband and me to receive what we needed with ease, it allowed us to focus on the most important business there is, the business of love.